Hi, I'm Anna. Welcome back to Books on the Go. I hope you're doing well. It's strange times that we're living in, and we still have the children at school, so that's been quite lucky. But my husband and I are working from home, so that again, very lucky that we have jobs that are conducive to that, but the novelty might wear off. We're only on day 3. But nevertheless, we're all happy and healthy, and that's the main thing at the moment. So I hope you're okay and getting some reading done. And today I'm here with a tag video. I've been tagged by Jacqueline at 6 Minutes for Me. Thank you, Jacqueline, to wish Doris at Aldi Books a very happy birthday. So happy birthday, Doris. And I was so thrilled to discover Doris's channel, which I had already discovered months ago because I've heard Sean at Sean the Book Maniac and I think Britta Bowler talking about it as well, and they've started this birthday tag. But I actually hadn't subscribed, and I thought that I had, and so I've been missing out on all these wonderful videos, and it was really lovely to go back and discover those when I was getting ready to do the tag. So thank you, Jacqueline, for this prompt, and it's been such a fun channel to rediscover. I'll go through the prompts, but it's a happy birthday to Doris, and the prompts all relate to a letter in Doris's name. So starting with the first one is D, and this is a book by or about a Doris, and this is quite tricky. I'm looking forward to going back and watching the other videos of people who've done this tag, and I didn't do that yet because I didn't want to cheat, but I'm dying to know how other people have come up with books because it's not easy to find books featuring the character of Doris. So of course I thought of Doris Lessing, and I'd started her book The Golden Notebook or The Golden Notebooks years ago and didn't get on with it, and so I decided I'd try to go beyond that. And I did find, I had to Google this, but I did find that Elizabeth Strout's second novel, Abide With Me, features a character called Doris. And this is a happy coincidence because I loved Elizabeth Strout's My Name is Lucy. Oh no, I haven't read My Name is Lucy Barton. I loved Olive Kitteridge and Olive Again, and also Anything is Possible, which has Lucy Barton in it. And so I've been meaning to go back and read the other novels. And so Abide With Me will go straight onto my TBR, complete with the character called Doris. And so that's my contribution for the first prompt, but it was not easy. The second one is O. O is for outside your comfort zone. And this was an interesting one to think about. I suppose one thing that's outside my comfort zone is graphic novels, just because I prefer reading text. But other than that, I would say poetry. And I have here an American Sunrise Poems by Joy Harjo, who's the Poet Laureate of the United States. And I picked this up purely because of this beautiful cover. And it's quite a small book, but just a beautiful object. And Joy Harjo was also here recently for Adelaide Writers Week. And I didn't manage to get to her sessions, which was really frustrating, but they've just been released in podcast form. So if you Google Adelaide Writers Week podcast or even just Adelaide Writers Week, I think you'll be able to pull those up, and I think it's on SoundCloud. But in any case, they're all available now for free to listen to, and so I'll be able to go back and listen to Joy Harjo's sessions. And I have had a peek at this. The thing about poetry for me is that I know there's no great secret or mystery about it, and it's just about enjoying it for what it is and experiencing it. And for some reason, I feel like I should know, how to read it or what it means. But these look quite interesting and they're quite varied. So some are in that sort of form, and then in other parts it sort of looks more narrative like this. So it'll be interesting to read, but again, I just love this as an object anyway. So I'm very happy to have this. It is outside my comfort zone, but I think it's an important book of poems. So I will read that soon as well. The third prompt is R. So this is a book that Doris has recommended, and one that Doris has recommended that was on my shelf but I haven't read yet is Idaho by Emily Ruskovich. And Doris had a list of, what was the word, sort of unsettling mysteries or disturbing literary mysteries. And this was in that category, as was See What I Have Done by Sarah Schmidt about the Lizzie Borden murders, which I cannot believe I still haven't read, but I must get onto that one as well. And Idaho, which I bought on the recommendation of, I think it was Catherine at Imprints bookstore in Adelaide, and I hadn't wanted to read it because it sounded disturbing, but she said it's really good, and so it's on my shelf, and I've got a goal this year of trying to reduce my TBR and read through all the books on my shelf. So this is certainly on the list. It's set in a remote part of America in the mountains. Jenny is the mother, Wade is the father, 2 daughters, June and May, and then something shocking happens and will scatter the family, and it's described as hauntingly brilliant, masterly, and will remind you of Marilyn Robinson's housekeeping and poetic spare writing. So it is intriguing, but I am nervous about this one. But however, if Doris recommends it and Catherine at Imprints recommends it, I should at least give it a go. So that's Idaho. The next one is, okay, I is indeed Doris likes cats and bees. And so this is a book that features cats or bees or other animals. And I've got a couple here. The first one, the one that does feature a cat, but I just can't remember anything about what happens to the cat. Sorry. I hope the cat's okay. But I loved the book, is French Exit by Patrick DeWitt. So this was very, very funny. It's quite arch humour, set in New York. And it's what is it? It's a mother and her son, and it's sort of a comedy of manners. And I read it. It's one of those books that's really easy and enjoyable to read, but dry humour. And I've forgotten what happened, so I can't tell you much more, but there is certainly a cat called Small Frank. I think her husband has died and the cat is sort of named after her husband. And then from there, I can't tell you. So that certainly has a cat. And there's Haruki Murakami, of course, has lots of cats in his novels, including the Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, which I think starts with a cat disappearing. But the other one that came to mind, which is not bees but other insects, flies, is The Fly Trap by Fredrik Sjoberg. And this is about, it's a really interesting sort of idiosyncratic non-fiction book about a man who collects hoverflies on an island in Sweden. And then he's really curious about the inventor of the fly trap. And so he starts exploring that and then unravels this interesting story. And I've forgotten that, I've read this a long time ago and I've forgotten the details, but I just remember really loving it and finding it a very comforting read, and really engaging, and something that, one of those stories you don't expect that it will be interesting, but it is strangely fascinating and compelling reading. So this is a lot about hoverflies, but also nature. So that might be within that sort of scope of cats and bees. That's The Fly Trap. And there probably are bees. I just can't remember, but I'm sure he would have come across some bees while he was out there with the hoverflies. I'm not sure. So that's The Fly Trap. And then the next prompt is S for Skyrocket. So recommend a book to Doris. And given that Jacqueline mentioned that Doris loves nonfiction and books about the environment and including animals, I couldn't go past this one, City of Trees by Sophie Cunningham. So you can tell from the cover, Sophie Cunningham has done her own illustrations in amongst the writing in this book. This is a series of essays, and we did it on the podcast recently, actually. So you can listen back. I think it was about 2 or 3 episodes ago, and we loved it. And Sophie Cunningham also came to Adelaide for Writers' Week. So that's another one that you could, if you're interested, download the podcast of that session. And this is a series of essays. It intersperses an essay about a tree or a type of tree with something, a personal essay about experiences in her life. And it ranges from Melbourne to San Francisco to, I think, New York. So different places that she's lived and the environment around there. And it's not just the trees, but also the wildlife. She's fascinated by the whole environment and how the wildlife is affected by the environment. And so you learn something on every page, but it's really lovely fluid writing style. So it's not heavy with the learning, but she's just so interesting and so erudite that you're constantly learning as you go. And I'll just see if I can find an illustration to sort of give you an idea. So for the trees, you get a picture of, as you go, you get pictures that I think Sophie has done those herself, and there's just beautiful vignettes in there, and it's a really lovely book to keep you company. So City of Trees by Sophie Cunningham, I highly recommend. And that is all of the prompts. There's a bonus prompt, which is to create a TBR based on these prompts, which for me will be, I think, these 2, Idaho and An American Sunrise, and also Abide With Me by Elizabeth Strout. So that is a very good TBR. And then it's to tag other booktubers, but the ones I wanted to tag I think have already been tagged or already done it. So I'm going to tag anyone else who'd like to join in. This is a really fun tag and a fun way to celebrate birthdays now that we're all social distancing, and we can do this by having a virtual sort of booktube birthday party for Doris. So please join in, and I would love to see your videos as well. And happy birthday, Doris, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.